We've all been there, haven't we? Looking at that upcoming workshop or maybe a big team meeting, even a training session, and you feel that bit of pressure. Will it actually work? Will people leave feeling like they got something valuable, feeling clear? Because leading a session that really hits the mark, whatever the size, it isn't just about throwing information out there. It's really about creating an experience, one that makes a huge difference for everyone. It boosts what they take away, and honestly, it boosts your own confidence too. So today we're doing a deep dive. We're getting into the practical art of leading these kinds of sessions with confidence. And our source material for this is pretty interesting, actually. We've got descriptions from a really comprehensive guide on how to facilitate effectively. And alongside that, there's this detailed dialogue, like a script modeling workplace English conversation. Yeah, features an experienced corporate trainer, let's call him Alex, and he's guiding a junior manager, maybe David, who's prepping for his first ever in-house workshop.
Right. And that combination is quite unique, isn't it? It gives us this very practical kind of real world view. It's not just the what you should do, but the how, the real nuances of getting it right.
Exactly. It's not just theory. We get to see these strategies sort of being workshopped themselves in a way. So our mission today is to pull out the really key nuggets of wisdom, how to confidently greet people, introduce the plan in a way that actually hooks them in, how to move smoothly between topics without losing people, and keeping them engaged, really engaged from the start right through to the end.
Absolutely. And we'll look at those essential phrases you might use for instructions, but maybe more importantly, the thinking behind them. We'll get into some maybe more sophisticated ways to transition, explore strategies for engagement that go beyond just, asking questions, and even touch on things like body language,
Yeah.
the nonverbal stuff, and crucially, how to handle it when things don't go exactly to plan.
Okay, great. So let's unpack this. That first moment when you step up in front of everyone, that first impression, our sources are pretty clear that this sets the whole psychological stage, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's about much more than a simple hello. It's about creating an atmosphere right from the get-go where people feel welcome, yes, but also ready to chip in.
Okay, so how do we do that? What does the material suggest?
Well, the dialogue example is quite good here.
Hmm.
Alex, the trainer, gives David, the manager, some specific phrases. So instead of just tacking on any questions at the end of a section, which can feel a bit
Yeah.
final, Alex suggests things like, feel free to ask questions at any point, or even better, don't hesitate to jump in if something sparks a thought.
Ah, okay. That is different. It feels more open.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's powerful. These phrases aren't just giving permission, they're empowering people. They signal that jumping in for clarity or adding an insight, it isn't just okay, it's actually valued.
Mm-hmm.
And that fundamentally changes the whole vibe from, me talking at you to us exploring this together.
From permission to empowerment. I like that. Okay, so you've set that welcoming stage. What's next? The roadmap, right. Outlining the journey. People need to know where you're going. What does the guide say about introducing objectives and the agenda effectively, beyond just, reading out a list?
Yeah, this is crucial for managing expectations and actually building a bit of anticipation.
Yeah.
So rather than just, okay, first point is X, second is Y, the guide pushes for framing it differently, using phrases that show purpose and movement, like, we'll begin by exploring, or our goal today is to uncover, or we'll be delving into. See those verbs?
Exploring, uncovering, delving. Yeah, they sound more active, more engaging than just, we will cover.
Precisely.
Right?
They suggest it's a shared journey, a discovery process, not just passive listening. And the dialogue shows Alex advising David to quickly explain the why behind each agenda item too, just briefly. So participants see the bigger picture and, importantly, how it connects to them.
Right, so it's about sparking that what's in it for me feeling, igniting curiosity. Okay, so you're guiding them on this journey, moving from one topic or activity to the next. This feels like a place where things can get clunky. An awkward pause or a sudden shift can really break the flow. What are some techniques for making those transitions feel, seamless?
That's a really critical point. Transitions are like the glue holding the whole session together.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can do better than just, okay, moving on. The sources talk about more subtle ways, like using bridging phrases that explicitly link what you just finished with what's coming up next.
Okay, like what? Can you give an example?
Sure. You might say something like, so building on that great point we just discussed about X, let's now look at how that influences Y. Or maybe, before we jump into our next activity, let's just quickly recap the key takeaways from that discussion. You see, it's not just a signpost saying next topic, it's creating a logical thread. It helps the audience follow your thinking and shift gears mentally.
It keeps the momentum going.
Exactly. And the dialogue actually has Alex coaching David on using just a short summarizing sentence right before the transition, just to make sure everyone's kind of landed together before moving off again.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a little check-in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving smoothly, but we also need to keep people plugged in, right? Keeping everyone actively engaged throughout. Nobody wants to talk to a room where eyes are glazing over. What are some of the strategies our sources suggest for engagement? Maybe, especially if the group already knows a fair bit.
Engagement really is the powerhouse of a good workshop, isn't it?
Mm.
And the material offers some really practical stuff that goes beyond the standard any questions.
Hmm.
It talks about sequential questioning, so maybe starting broad to get lots of ideas out there, then narrowing the focus to help the group make a decision or reach some agreement.
Okay, so directing the conversation more strategically.
Yes, instead of just, what do you think? Which is very open. Maybe ask something like, okay, based on what we've just covered, what's one immediate way you could apply this in your own role? It channels their thinking. It also mentions using active listening prompts to draw out people who might be quieter. Not putting them on the spot, but maybe referencing something subtle, like you noticed them nodding earlier, or connecting to a point they half made before.
Ah, so noticing the quieter cues.
Right. And Alex, the trainer, specifically tells David to use quick, constructive feedback when people contribute. Not just, great point, but maybe explaining how their point connects or expands the topic. That really encourages people to think a bit deeper with their contributions.
I like that. It makes it feel much more like a genuine two-way street, a real conversation. Now, shifting gears slightly, beyond the words themselves, our sources really stress the how we deliver those words, and even what our bodies are doing while we speak. That whole area of nonverbal communication. How does that play into confidence and effectiveness?
Oh, it's huge. What's really interesting is how confidence isn't just something you say, it's something you, well, embody.
Mm.
The guide goes beyond just make good eye contact. It talks about the power of the pause, using pauses effectively to control the pace, to emphasize key points. It gives your words more gravity.
Right, silence can be powerful.
Definitely. And varying your intonation, your pitch and tone. It stops you sounding monotonous, obviously, but it also helps signal what's important. Maybe a slightly lower tone for a key statement, a rising inflection for a question to draw people in. And body language is critical. Open gestures, a confident posture, even subtly mirroring participants' body language can build connection. Alex actually demonstrates for David how just a small shift in posture or deliberately slowing down your speech rate can totally change how instructions land, especially if it's a complex task.
It's those subtle signals that add up. Okay, but what about when things, well, when things go wrong? Because let's be real, sometimes they do. The tech fails, or one person keeps dominating the discussion, or you suddenly realize you're running way behind schedule.
Yeah.
How do you handle those curveballs while keeping your cool and, keep the session on track?
Yeah, and how you handle those moments speaks volumes about your professionalism and your perceived control, right?
Hmm.
The sources emphasize not just reacting calmly, which is important, but having a plan, a proactive mindset for common issues. So, for a tech glitch, it's about calmly saying something like, seems we have a small technical hiccup. Apologies, we'll sort that in a moment. While we wait, let's quickly discuss X. It keeps people busy, shows you're handling it, not flapping.
Okay, keeps the momentum, shows control. What about the person dominating?
The guide suggests phrases that politely redirect, like, that's a really valuable perspective, thank you. Let's open it up now and hear from a few others. Or you acknowledge their point and then pivot. Thanks, Sarah. That connects nicely to our next segment, actually, which is Tia Garah, for time. It's about being transparent. Okay, folks, looks like we're running a little tight on time, so I'll briefly summarize this part before we move to the next activity. Of course, and Alex actually coaches David on building in buffer time from the start and having contingency plans. Thinking ahead.
Being prepared for the unexpected. Makes sense. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's maybe quickly recap some of the core ideas here for leading these workshops effectively. It starts with setting that welcoming, empowering tone, right? Not just welcoming, but empowering, and then clearly laying out the objectives, but with that sense of purpose, igniting curiosity, mastering those smooth transitions using bridging phrases, and engaging the audience strategically, not just asking any questions. These insights, they really aren't just for professional trainers. I think anyone can use these to level up their communication skills overall, make every meeting, every presentation more impactful.
I completely agree. And connecting it back, remember that real confidence shines through in how you deliver deliver everything too. It's in your vocal delivery, making sure you sound assertive, yet approachable, using your intonation for emphasis. It's also in those nonverbal cues we talked about, the effective pauses, the open gestures. They really back up what you're saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, maintaining that professional calm, especially when things get tricky like tech issues or running late, that can actually boost how people see your leadership.
That really brings up an interesting thought for you, our listener. Think about an upcoming meeting or presentation you might have. Could be anything, big client pitch or just a small team update. Could you maybe mentally rehearse just one part of it? Maybe the opening or how you'll explain an activity or even just your closing statement. And try using one of the specific techniques we discussed today. Perhaps swap out any questions for feel free to jump in at any point, or plan a specific bridging phrase for your next transition.
Just pick one thing.
Yeah, just one strategy. Challenge yourself to apply it and then just observe. See how that small, deliberate change affects your own feeling of confidence. But also watch how it might subtly change how your audience engages. Look for those little aha moments, not just for them, but for your own growth as a communicator. It could be quite revealing.